All right, good morning, everyone. This is John Kegel with Selltis, and today we'd like to talk just a little bit about managing leads, especially managing leads for people who are not in our organization specifically, like leads sent to our manufacturers, reps, or distributors, or other people that we might not be able to share the lead with directly in Selltis. So I want to give you some hints and tricks or some ideas about what that might look like, at least at a high level today, and then individually as our customers or prospective customers, we certainly would like to sit down with you further and detail it out in a process that makes sense for your individual business. So today we want our key takeaway is, are there any processes by which we can track leads by campaign, source, as we call it in Selltis, perhaps a particular rep group or distributor or group of distributors, a particular sales team, a supplier, and is there any return on investment for some of these campaigns that we're running, whether they be spending money on our website and that marketing, or whether it be spending money for trade publications and newsletters, trade shows, etc. And so we want to get information out to some who may not be on Selltis, which is their fault, their problem, right? They're missing out. So at a high level, a couple of things we want to talk about further are, can we manage these leads from various sources? That's kind of our first topic of discussion. And then secondly, how do we look at that data for reps or distributors or those type of entities, or perhaps both, right? So today I'm about screenshots, so hang in there with me a little bit, and we'll see if we can't make this a little bit more clear. Let's talk about campaigns. In Selltis, it's called a source. And if you look at a list of sources, something like this, you might be able to classify these a little bit in order to make your filtering and sorting a little easier to work with. So, for example, I recommend that you name your campaigns in Selltis in that source file, something akin to this, where we are able to quickly take all of the trade shows and filter for them. So we could say, let me see all of the leads where the source starts with TS. And that way I could see all of the trade show leads and then break them down individually for whatever shows you did at a particular time. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. And then want to make sure that that source is mandatory where you need to report on it. So frequently that's an activity log purpose lead or purpose inquiry, but it could be such that you want to make sure that that source is following through from a lead to an opportunity, or directly onto an opportunity, or from a lead right onto a quote if that is your process at your particular company. So just want to keep that in mind and make sure that this, in some cases you want to make sure that your report is being filled correctly, because source is mandatory, and in many cases it's auto-filling from one place to the next linked record. Does that make sense?
Okay.
All right. So here again I'm showing just a quick screenshot of a list of campaigns or sources, and all I'm trying to describe is that when you enter a new source, you may want to categorize it with a prefix to make it easy for filtering and sorting in your reporting. Again, let's see all of the leads that are about publications, regardless of it was the industry newsletter or I published it in a magazine or whatever the case may be. All right. So lead management on a high level can be very simple or kind of complicated. And so on the simple level, you know, it's a single view. It's a single view or a single list of leads that might be sorted by source. Or to take it to the next level in complexity, I guess, it could be a desktop with source as the master view and related activity logs. So that might look something like this, right? We just simply have a list of leads sorted by the particular source, trade show, publication, direct mail, etc. Go back up here for a second. You may say that I want to see a desktop where the leads are qualified by a source. So you could say I sort them by source and then I add into the mix whether they're open or complete. And I'll show you that in just a second. Some variations of this might be leads by source and supplier. So for example, if we're tagging a specific product on a lead, then of course we can report on that product's supplier. If we are a manufacturer's rep ourselves, then of course we can break those down by a particular user, territory, rep, etc. All right. So let me go back to this just for a second. Of course we can sort these views by open or completed. That's the point I wanted to make in addition to sorting it by the source. So you can see I have the source as the first sort and then the status as the second sort. One of the things that might be helpful for you is to start to gather kind of a return on investment for any of these campaigns that you put into play. So for all of us, you know, the boss is saying, hey, all right, you're asking me to spend $5,000 or $10,000 or maybe even more for this particular marketing campaign. I want to know what you anticipate the return to be, and can I measure that return? And my answer to that is yes, you can. As long as you have a value somewhere that you're completing a form for. So let me try to state that in a little bit better way. If we have a lead in Selltis and it's qualified and turned into an opportunity or a quote, and the status of that quote or that opportunity or both, it just depends on how you want to report on it, is 1. If the status is 1, we can compare the value of all of the 1 opportunities for that source or that marketing campaign to the expense of it. So if we spent $10,000 to go to a trade show, we would hope to see 1 opportunities that resulted from us going to that trade show and entering those leads and opportunities. We would hope to see, you know, twice that $10,000 or even more, I would anticipate, above and beyond, you know, whatever other strategic marketing and things that we're going to the trade show for. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So we're looking for there should be a value somewhere that we can report on. So this particular screenshot then is in one of my customers, so I'm not going to go there. But at a very basic level, I have a list of leads completed, and the related opportunity is 1. And this is sorted by campaign. So this is one of the campaigns would be website. So we could say the related opportunity gave us a value of this. How much are we? Now, I just put in $1 just for example here because I didn't want to screw up my customers database. But the point would be that we could sum up the related 1 opportunities for this campaign, either by a date range or for the campaign as a whole, and see if our investment is paying off. Okay, and so I'm showing it again. I just want to see that this is by source, and obviously we could say we spent this much on the website, we spent this much on direct mail with MailChimp or with what's the other one? Contact. I can't think of the name of it all of a sudden. But with our email campaigns, we spent this much money. We filter and or sort the view by that source, and then we should be able to see related quotes that are 1 or related opportunities are 1 or value of completed leads itself if you were to put a currency field on the lead form. Now, The second topic I want to talk about is just a little bit about assigning to reps. And again, I'll try to keep this at the higher level this morning if I can. Just concept-wise, how we could get data out without spending a ton of money and making sure that we have a return on our investment and making sure reps are seeing this and so that we can follow up with them. In some instances, the rep is a user in Selltis. So for some of our customers, they have reps with very limited access to Selltis, and they're seeing just at a glance any leads that are assigned to them and any, for example, quotes that we're working on for their companies that they rep to for us. So that's a consideration for you. And let me see if I can skip down to a screenshot that shows that real quick. I think I have it here. I kind of blocked this out because it's real life data here. So this is a screenshot of a particular rep, the rep's login, and all they're seeing is their activities and kind of a what's happening desktop. So they have their activities, quotes, and the activities would include leads and then any opportunities that they're working on too. So in this case, the user that's assigned to the lead and assigned to any opportunities is the actual rep, and they have limited permissions and a limited login to see that data themselves in Selltis. Another thing to consider is that you may autofill a rep or a territory based on another value as you enter leads into Selltis. So that might mean as I enter by state, if the state is Illinois, the Midwest rep gets that particular lead routed to them. It's credited to them in some way. Or if the team leader is Marty, Marty handles these 4 reps as a regional sales manager, and that rep gets assigned to that lead right away. And then, so that can happen automatically, or you could perhaps even manually fill a field such as assigned to rep or rep is. So here I've just made on the lead form, the activity log purpose lead, I've just made, for demonstration purposes, an assigned to rep field. So this is a unique company link. And just on the side here, we'll talk about this in a second, a checkbox that says I actually sent it to the rep. This is a manual entry process. But think, for some of our customers, think about it, that rep could be assigned to a variety of companies. And when I choose this company on a lead form, this could be filled automatically in the background and you wouldn't need to manually do it. So a couple of options there to consider depending on how your company works. Was that clear?
Yeah.
Once we assign it to reps, we can start working with dashboards that look like this. So we would see, for example, a mini views list that wasn't, companies or contacts mini views, but was rep mini views, where we have a list of companies, and these are only rep companies that work with us. And then we would start to see leads either sorted by source or sorted by completed or not, etc., and then perhaps some other data as we went along. I was discussing that there are some automated ways to assign things to reps as users or reps as companies. In Selltis, by default, there is a category called routing. And here I'm showing for one of our customers on the East Coast, I'm showing a routing record that is about a particular source. And this routing record then is set to route any leads based on the parameters of the routing record, whether that be a state, whether that be a territory, a zip code, etc. Can automatically assign that lead to the appropriate team leader, the appropriate rep, etc. So I just want you to know that functionality is in Selltis. Often it's a minor tweak to hook a particular record to a specific user or rep based on that routing record. State is not a default category. State and country are not default categories in Selltis, but certainly we can cut and paste those in if necessary for your particular automating needs. So here's that desktop we looked at before. Again, we're assigning reps based on geography in this case, and this rep has a limited login. So you might say, how do I get that? Once I've assigned it to a rep in Selltis and they don't have a limited login or a permission-based login, if you will, for our data as a company, for Sonia's company, for Marty's company, whoever, there's a couple of things that you can do. We talked about the limited login, but another thing that is very common for us to do is to do either an automatic email or perhaps a semi-automatic email based on the data of the lead record or the opportunity record, if you consider that a lead itself. So an automatic would be, I showed you that send to rep checkbox before. I can even scroll to it real quick. You could use a checkbox like this on a form to automatically send the data of this lead to a particular representative. So you may have an email address for, at this particular rep, Metrics Manufacturing rep in Denver, and every time I have a lead assigned to this rep and I click send to rep or send to rep or whatever the case may be, I can then get that lead into their email inbox. Then I'm categorizing those that I sent out, whether it be by email or by permission-based viewing. I'm categorizing those, if I choose, in my view. So in this case, I've just added that checkbox field into my view, sent to rep, and you can see that some of them I've sent, some of them I worked on myself. Over here for metrics, I have 3 that are open, 2 I've sent, 1 I haven't sent yet, etc. Questions on that? How does that apply to you guys? Is there something worthwhile there for you?
Yeah, you know, up until this point in time, John, what I've been doing is I've been creating a group to try to track these leads. So this source concept that's tucked in there, I had to get, while you were talking, I had to go find out where I could find the source field, but I went and found that. This is obviously structured a lot better than what I was doing, so I'm liking it. Yeah,
Marty, next time, a couple weeks out, we'll talk about, secondly, we'll talk about importing options, but I do want to talk about managing groups and sources of leads. So we'll talk about, just take it back to what's step 1, which is getting this information into Selltis. How do we do that? And then managing them by source and group and those types of things. So that was a great comment and a great segue. All right, as always, some of this material is available at selltis.com/training. We are posting the videos. Sometimes it takes a couple of days for us to just review it real quick and make sure that we didn't show any customer data or anything that would be inappropriate. And but then those videos get up there in my scratchy little voice. And if those are helpful for you, I appreciate you guys taking a look at that. Of course, you can get to the same site, selltis.com/training, from the help menu within your database, and all of the materials are available at that same web page. All right, that's what I've got for this morning. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, John.
All right, have a great day.